this the one and the only Mr. Todd Carey?
This is he.
Hey, man, how you doing?
What's going on, man? I am so sorry about last week. Jason had emailed me. He's like, hey, so I guess I thought we missed it. I'm sorry. I'm usually way more on top of it.
Oh, dude, it's cool. It's totally cool. I was gonna like call up Keaton and then break his balls about you, but hey, we pulled it through.
Call him anytime. Man, it's good to hear your voice. Thank you so much for having me on, man.
No problem, dude. And dude, I'll tell you what, I never heard of you until I went and saw you guys open a tour up in Philly when I went to see Keaton a few weeks back.
Oh, you were at Tin Angelman?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Why don't we get to talk there? That's ridiculous.
So, I said,
what happened? How come I didn't? I feel like I try to meet everybody at those shows.
Well, I saw you, and then I saw Keaton, and then me and my wife had a roll because we had
That's right. Okay.
The whole babysitter thing going on.
Of course.
But
man, well, thank you for coming. By the way,
dude, it was awesome.
We appreciate. I mean, dude, anytime someone comes to, it's like a big deal for us. We're like, hell yeah, thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. My I guess my background and my true love of music is mainly hard rock stuff and metal stuff and all.
Yes.
So when I go to something like that,
I love the heavy stuff too, man. I'm a crazy, I play guitar. I grew up playing rock,
Right. So when I go see something like that, it's off the wall for me. But I loved it. And I was telling friends of mine, the next day, they're like, well, how was it? I'm like, dude, Keaton was awesome, really enjoyable set. It was just a really, you can hear the emotion in his voice. I said, but this dude, Todd Carey, that was on before him, I'm like, dude, this guy had the crowd eaten out of the palm of his hand. He could have parted the Red Sea. It was unbelievable.
Thanks, man. I think we were on top of tables during that set, if I can recall.
Yeah.
That was fun, man. Well, hey, seriously, thanks for saying that, man. You made my day. It's we get home from tour. I'm here for 2 weeks. We're kind of sitting around, and to hear someone be talking about that night, it gets me all excited. So thank you.
No, but it's seriously. I was like, wow, where did this dude come from? How long has he been doing it? And like I said, and it was all you heard was girls screaming. I'm like, this dude must be having a time of his life.
It's not too bad. I can't complain.
I bet. That's right. And I said to my buddies, I said, if you're single, I said you have to go to these shows because it was 95% women.
That's true. That was 95% women that night, I believe. We had some cool guys, and I recall that night being cool because we actually had some guys. And I'm in it for the musician side of it too, and there's a lot of guys who benefit from that side of the music, and so I love it when it's more equally represented, to tell you the truth. So thanks for coming, man.
Now, when you have a crowd like that, the crowd was, like I said, they were eating out of the palm of your hands. That energy was feeding off you and the guy that you had up playing drums with you. You guys were just on. How much of a help is that for you?
Seth is so cool. And that, I believe, was opening night of the tour, so there's all this fresh energy. When Seth and I go out on the road, he's the drummer, percussionist, singer. I think we did a stripped-down set that night, too, so he wasn't on, drum kit. But, we go out on tour and we play together every night, and then we're off tour for, weeks at a time, and then when you get back together that first night, something explosive happens, and I think that set was, one of my favorites in a long time. So, yeah, when I'm up there, I'm so excited just to be what I feel like is in my element, I kind of feel like my feet lift off the ground for they lift off a couple feet off the ground for an hour, and I'm just incredibly grateful and can't believe that I get to do this, and that's where my head's at is and I'm just gonna go I'm gonna try and make it as memorable of an experience for everyone there as it is for me. It's kind of the idea,
It was, and beside the whole crowd and all being into it, the one thing that naturally probably stood out for a lot of people first time seeing you is the tribute you did to boy bands.
We love that, the history of boy bands.
Right. That was awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
What made you want to do that?
Well, we went on tour with O-Town. Seth and I, O-Town, the boy band from the early 2000s that was on the TV show Making the Band. they like were on that reality show, came out and had like a platinum record and then broke up, right? That was like probably 2002. And they just had their first and only reunion tour this year, and people went crazy for it, and they asked us to open the tour. And Seth and I had never been on like a boy band tour before. So we were like, man, we gotta put together like a musical tribute for this. So we thought, let's start with like what we perceive to be the first boy band, the Beatles, and work all the way through the history of boy bands to like One Direction. There's probably another boy band we should add after One Direction, like maybe 5 Seconds of Summer or something. But they would argue they weren't a boy band. But I would say, so we went all the way. We went, the Beatles in the 60s to Jackson 5 in the 70s to New Kids on the Block in the 80s, and then we morphed into Hanson early 90s, and then what do we do? Backstreet Boys late 90s, NSYNC late 90s, and then One Direction, kind of current. So we have fun with that, man. I have to say, it's like we really feel like we're doing something hilarious, and we love it. And the thing that comes out is that all the songs are incredible.
Right.
The songs, whether those bands wrote them, like in the case of the Beatles, or whether in the case of like I guess even the Jackson 5, like they didn't write those songs yet. Michael Jackson wasn't writing. If their songs were handed to them, or if they wrote them themselves, they're awesome songs, and so we love playing them.
It's weird too, like especially with like the later boy bands with like your Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all them, like you're going to hear them, and as an adult you'll be like, it's like cheesy and all that. But now you hear like, especially with the world of YouTube, like all these people doing these different cover versions of them, and you're like, that's a damn freaking good song. In these other arrangements, like it shows you that it is a good song. It's not always has to be that little poppy thing, but I mean, it is deep down, it's a good song.
Isn't that crazy? It's really amazing how that happens. Once you hear a few songs out of context, like, You Don't Know You're Beautiful could be like a really great heavy rock song, whereas like I Want It That Way would be like, man, if you had like a soul singer sing it, like D'Angelo, or like, it could be awesome. You know what I mean? Like those songs are good enough where, it would just be they're great songs. So mix that together with the pitch of like boy bands, and we move through it really quickly. Like each song we probably spend like 15, 20 seconds on, and it's so funny to see what gets the reaction. Like some crowds will freak out at the beginning when we're playing like the Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and then like other crowds will like totally react to the New Kids on the Block, and then other crowds will react to like the NSYNC or the Hanson. It's crazy. You can almost like tell where you are by how they react. It's really funny.
You can also tell the age range of your crowd too.
Funny though, yeah, you can. But sometimes like the ones who are like will react to like a retro one. Like I noticed that New Kids on the Block get like a great reaction from like young, like I guess like young boy band fans have gone back and listened to New Kids on the Block. I don't know. That sounds weird now that I'm saying it. But anyway. That I've seen the ages jump around. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Yeah, it was definitely cool.
Yeah.
And people, I mean, if people have not seen Todd yet, I mean, it's a great show. It's a really enjoyable show.
Thanks,
You're going to have a great time. and, like the whole time, like I was just sitting there, not only enjoying the show but smiling. Like I was just, because you can't help it. I mean, it was just a good show, good set, and just an enjoyable time. So people really need to go out and see Todd and put a smile on their faces.
You were the man. That's the goal, is that we're just trying to put a smile, and like the fact that you felt that really means a lot to me.
That's awesome. Now let's go back in time of Todd, and let's learn a little bit about you. So I do my investigating. I find out. I mean, you're not a guy that just like picked up a guitar and like here you are. I mean, you actually got a degree in music.
That's right.
You're a real musician.
Thanks. Yeah, I went to school to play guitar. Writing, composing, and improvising are like my first loves, and everything else has just been kind of an extension of that. But yeah, like one of my favorite things to do is just like play the guitar, which we don't do a lot in our show, but it definitely informs everything we do. I think I did it. I went to school because I wanted to expand my writing horizons. Cool. I wrote a bunch of songs before college, and then I was like, well, I think I've written about if not as many songs as I can write with these 5 chords, because the best songs in the world have been written. But, like, what else can I do? I want to expand. I want to see if I can push it a little bit. So that's what I did.
Now, how about, like, when you said to your parents, like, I want to go to school for music, where they were like, what?
They were into it. My parents have been really supportive the entire way. It's funny. I'm just looking at this. Just about to post an Instagram picture. I think it's the first picture I ever posted of me and both my parents, like, at a concert, one of my concerts. So it was literally, nice. I'm just about to post it, and I was thinking about how they've just been there for me, like, the entire time. So grateful to them. That's part of why I'm doing it, you know?
That's awesome. That's totally awesome.
I'm very lucky, very lucky.
Yeah, you know, it's weird to me because, like, I guess a lot of the people who we interview, when I'm hearing, like, more, I would say probably 75-80% of the musicians all have, like, parental support. And
really?
Like, growing up, like, I played guitar and I played, like, in a bunch of, like, punk bands and stuff like that in the Philly area growing up. And, like, when I was a teenager, like, I had like, my mom did not support me in any way in the musical thing. It was just like, I hope this is a phase. I really hope this is a phase. That's all I would hear.
I think that it's more of a modern thing. Like, you know, parents are new generational parents are more open to. They're supposed to be more open. But the irony is that you had a better chance of making a living as a musician back then than you do now, which is the major irony of it all. Like, there was so much money to be made back then, which is what's so fun. I'm not saying with you. I'm saying, like, the whole concept of, like, you know, when rock and roll was born, like, playing in the garage and the parents being like, get a job, you know, like, actually, that could have been one of the best jobs and quite a bit easier to get back then, truthfully.
Right. Oh, it's too funny. So, all right, so going back to college, you actually had a band in college, and you guys put out a few albums, too.
We did, yeah. We were kind of like a jam band. It was kind of like Sublime meets Fish. But, like, with some Dave Matthews in there. We toured and we put out a bunch of records, and it was all about playing live and, like, extended jams, and very different from what I'm doing now. But that's where I started. That's kind of where I, like, planted the seeds of what I do now, like touring and, like, trying to, like, put forth the best material at all times, and yeah, it kind of started there essentially. And
then you guys broke up, which was it because you guys, I guess, were graduating college?
It was a little of both. I mean, we played, I think we definitely toured for at least a year or two after college, but during that time I was playing solo, and I just started, like, my solo project literally grew out of the center of the band. Like, I would play solo sets, like, opening the shows or, like, during the shows, and essentially, I think, a couple of the guys were kind of doing other things, and I just basically, I feel like I had a different vision of where I wanted my music to be. I wanted less dense. It was a very dense band. Like, we played, you were saying you're into the harder stuff, like, our drummer was definitely like a metal drummer. Like, we came, I wouldn't say he was a metal drummer, but we came from, like, the harder edge of it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
He definitely listened to, like, there was a certain progressive rock element of what he listened to, including me. You know, but I wanted to distill the stuff down, not simplify it, not water it down. I wanted to just, like, it's like, as an artist, you always want to do, like, the opposite of what you're doing at that point. Like, right now, I would love to go back and make some really dense music, and I probably will next. So it was just a reaction. I was like, we're playing the craziest music on earth. What would happen if I played some really catchy, cool pop music? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And now I'm like, I want to start, like, a jam band side project, because I'm like, I want to just go crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's the life of an artist, yeah.
But, you know, that's really surprising me, though. Like, did the other band members kind of get pissed, like, when you were doing, I mean, you're doing your own, you're starting a solo project, and you're kind of doing these, you're opening up for your band.
Not
I mean,
really. It was a pretty natural thing. Yeah. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing. No one was really pissed. We still like get together and hang and play sometimes, and
cool.
Everyone was just kind of doing the keyboards in the band, like went off on tour with like Frank Zappa's band. That's the kind of band we were play that stuff.
Oh wow.
The drummer like went back to school. That was part of it. It was super natural. There was no bad blood at all.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a rarity too.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. It was great. I love those guys. I really do.
And then I guess after that you started having like some of your music featured in what was it, MTV's Real World and some movies and stuff like that.
So true, man. You really did do your research. Thank you. Yeah. Right when I kind of started solo, a lot of those shows would start to like feature stuff from my first record. So that's how I got my start. Yeah, Real World, a couple other MTV shows at the time, and then a bunch of Lifetime movies were featuring it. And yeah, there was a movie called Palo Alto that used a couple of the songs from my first album. I remember in the opening credits, and the guy who put that movie together was the youngest director to ever debut at the Sundance Film Festival. And I remember going, not Sundance, Tribeca. So I went to Tribeca and watched, our song open the movie. It was so cool. It was so cool.
Now, what was your reaction, like, if you got that first call, we want to use your music? Did you think, like, all right, who the hell's pulling my leg here?
It wasn't that much of a shock. I had some friends who were, like, working on the project, as I imagine it happens often.
Gotcha.
So it was like, hey, maybe this will happen. I'd be like, hey, that would be really cool. It wasn't like, oh, my God. Like, the kind of shock I felt when I found out Nintendo, my current single, was number one on the Billboard Twitter charts the day they were created. Like, the day Billboard was like, okay, we have a new chart. It's called the Twitter chart. And we go to it, and Nintendo is number one above, like, Iggy Azalea, like, Ariana. That's the kind of thing that makes you go, oh, my God, what's happening,
So
I'm by the way,
assuming you take a screenshot of it.
The next single coming out is called, I have, like, 1,000 screenshots of it. Send you one if you want. Everyone was like, take a screenshot, take another one. And then it ended up staying at the top of the charts, like, throughout the summer. So I have, like, it would just sit there. It was pretty crazy. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
Now, actually, going to the Nintendo single,
yeah.
I mean, people, when I saw you, people were chanting for it and love it. But the funny thing is, like...
So, you don't understand how excited that gets me. It's like, that makes you so excited. I love that.
See, that's when I thought to myself, like, wow, like, I'm really out of the loop. These people know what's going on here with this dude, and I'm just like, where'd he come from?
Yeah. That's always going to happen in music, especially these days. Like, people, the industry is becoming more niche, and like people can have giant following. I'm not saying I'm like a giant, but people can be really big and exist in a vacuum, and you have no idea. Like, I had the same experience all the time that you're describing, where I like go to a show or like stumble upon a music video that's got hundreds of millions of views, and you're like, what?
Right.
How is this happening? And it's great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. It's
cool.
It's exciting too. It really is.
Especially when you think it's cool.
And I mean, that's with the whole new way of the music business, and you have like yourself now, the true indie artist, where you're able to do all this stuff yourself.
Right. Yeah. I like certain elements of being an indie artist. I've had a bunch of record deals. Nintendo came out on a record label.
Okay.
I think that there are advantages to both. I definitely, when I'm independent, which is at various points, and then I'm with labels, I've had a bunch of different partnerships. I always treat everything like my mindset is always a major label. Like, does this stand up with the best artists out there? You know what I mean? Does it look like it could be next to a number one single? To me, there's no difference, truthfully. Like, I try and put, the same type of energy. And, obviously, the one thing the major labels have are millions and millions in capital behind, like, each song. But, I've managed to work it so I've had, like, really good promotion for my most recent projects and will continue to. So the truth is, like, I've learned from that example. and I try and use it in an independent mindset when I have to.
Do you approach things differently, whether you're on a label at a time or independent?
Not really. It's always just like, what is the best this can be, and like the hardest we can push it. You know what I'm saying? And how, and like, how creatively can we do this? It's always like, for example, we're gearing up right now to release my next single, which is called OMG. It's called Oh My God. Oh My God. And so we're behind the scenes, like, busy bee. Can this stand up to like the best stuff out there? And if not, then there's no reason to put it out. So it's been taking a little while for that reason, you know.
Now, the new single, is that going to be you putting that out yourself or by a label, or? It's kind of been both. I wouldn't be surprised if we do some pickups with it right now, but I think it will be released independently. But we'll still go to radio with it. My independent label has a partnership, so yeah, I guess the answer is yes. It will be independent. Now, with the whole like independent thing, when you're doing it, when it's Todd Carey and you said you're a partner putting this stuff out, I guess it's kind of like you've done it so much, even going back to college when your band, because you guys did some of that yourself as well. I guess you kind of got it down to a science now, pretty much then.
Well, that's it, man. That is a great question. I think we're getting into some really interesting conversation here. Awesome observations, by the way. I would say yes, you're right on the money, except that back then when I was in college, like everything, like being an independent artist was just the concept, like it was becoming doable. You know, the independent artists have always been out there, like through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. But basically, if you weren't on a major, you had no outlet. Whereas, like, recently, you know, the internet basically has brought everyone into everyone's living rooms. And so when we started doing it, it was super rudimentary. And now I feel like we've had all these years of experience honing the craft, how to put something out, you know, forming business partnerships to get the capital to actually spend money. You know, you have to actually spend money to promote things properly. And of course, amassing a team. Like, I have my management team, I have my creative team, I have my social media team, even though I head all of it, and my radio team. So none of that existed when I was in college, for me at least. So in some ways it's changed, in some ways it's the same, but mostly it's just gotten a lot cooler in my eyes, you know?
What do you think, do you get your biggest, I guess, bang for your buck out of advertising, promoting? Where do you think you get the biggest?
That's a really good question. I think each song and each project has, like, different places where it reacts. For example, Nintendo clearly reacted, like, the most viscerally on YouTube. So, like, for example, the label spending the money to make a good music video and then promoting that video. And then it got picked up by this company called Smule, which is a karaoke app for iPhone that has 18 million users. And they made it a hit. Like, it's got the song Nintendo has played 6.6 million times across the Smule platform on iPhones, which is crazy. It's like so much bigger than anything I've ever done. Like literally 6 million times bigger than anything I've ever done. You know? But that came from having, like, a great music video. So, like, we saw that Nintendo was, like, not only what people, like, perceived to be a decent song that they liked, but also reacted visually. Because, like, people love the image of Nintendo. We had this, like, really cute girl in the video. And it was my first ever music video. So it was, like, my image. People were seeing me, like, alive doing my thing for the first time. So it's pretty cool. All of that, I would say, to answer your question, you know, the best place to allocate those resources were, like, towards the music video, making a good one, getting it out there, all that type of stuff.
You know, it's funny too, because I'm not even going to mention the name, but a band from the 80s that I really enjoyed and, you know, was a big fan of, and I interviewed the lead singer last year because they had a new album, their first album they put out in like 30 years. And we were talking, I was interviewing them for it, and I even brought that up. I'm like, are you guys going to put, like, any videos out? I mean, like, do you think it's still important today? And I'll usually ask that question to a lot of people, and usually everybody will say, like, in this generation, YouTube and videos are still huge. And he was like, nah, it's not really worth it to put a video out, and, you know, it's cost you a couple $100,000. I'm thinking to myself, dude, like, we're not in the 80s no more. Like, you can get a couple GoPro cameras and somebody who's really good with editing equipment, and they can make a video for you. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. And the funny thing is, like, I think he's probably approaching it. I kind of understand his mindset, because the idea back then was you make a video and it gets on MTV and then it sells literally millions of records. You know what I'm saying? Whereas now the idea is you get a video and hope you get a lot of, like, millions of views, you know, and then hopefully you're selling records or whatever. But it's a different mindset. It's a different approach. So I could see why he would answer it that way. In a way, there is some truth to what he's saying. You know, your end game, I don't know. I'm curious as to which band was it. Tell me. I want to know now.
They have a cereal name after them.
A cereal name after them, huh?
There's the band has. There's also a cereal with the same band name.
I'm drawing a blank, but I bet I love them. I'm just curious because that's so cool that you got to interview whoever they were. Our listeners can probably figure that out. They can do some research.
You know what? Is this your cell phone here? I'll text you the answer over. I'll text you the answer over afterwards.
Can't wait to know.
All right, so the Nintendo single, like I was going to say, it's funny, when I was going through your stuff and all getting ready for last week, my daughter was sitting next to me, and she's a huge video game kid and all about Nintendo and all that stuff now. And I said, you got to watch this video. And she got pissed off. She's like, it's not being true to Nintendo. It's not the right pixels. She's going, I'm like, what?
That's so cute. Tell her thank you for being awesome and, like, knowing that. How old is she?
Actually, she just turns 11 tomorrow.
Dude, that's awesome. So cute. Say hi from Todd Carey.
So, all right, so you also have, and this isn't a joke, but you have Todd for Tatas.
That's right. That's true. My mother, unfortunately, went through the breast cancer battle a couple of years ago, or a few years ago, and fortunately, she was lucky enough to get through it, and she's great now.
That's
but awesome. As we were battling through that, I was like, hey, what can I do? How can I be involved? Like, you know, I was going on tour at the time, so we raised money for a couple different organizations, but it was all under the umbrella of something called Todd for Tatas, which is pretty great.
Cool.
Yeah.
You gotta love the name, first of all, but the cause is great too. That's a double home run right there.
Double whammy. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's see. You know what? The Nintendo single is off your new EP. Am I correct?
The Nintendo single is actually just out as a single right now. It's off my upcoming album. The upcoming album is called Future Throwback, and the second single from that record is coming out within the next couple of months. It's called Oh My God. So the album with Nintendo will be coming out soon. But right now it's just on iTunes if you want to grab it. It's called Nintendo.
Okay. And, so Future Throwback, is that a full-length album or an EP?
It's a full-length album. It's coming out. And it's not out yet, but it's finished. And it's Nintendo is the lead single off that album. Which is so exciting to me. That's the thing. We've had success with an album that's not even out yet, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. Now let me see if I'm correct on this. Is this where you wrote 70 songs for this album?
Yes.
And you had
correct.
Dude, like, how do you write 70 songs, and then how many ended up being on the album?
Well, you've heard a bunch of them. We played most of them at It's an Angel. We're all on the album that's coming out. Those songs aren't even out yet. But yeah, I spent two and a half years.
Time out. So you mean to tell me all them songs you played that night nobody even knew, and you had that reaction?
Most of them, 80% of them are all from this album. But the truth is, and you're half right, they all know them because I've been playing them live, and they know them off like YouTube and from me playing them live for a couple of years now. As we wrote them, I would take them out on tour. Kind of the idea was like we wrote 70 songs over 2 or 3 years. And I was like, these songs have to work really well live. You know what I'm saying? So I would write them, go out and play them, and then people would learn them. And now we're kind of all singing them, and they'll be out on the album soon, which is pretty cool. So I don't know of that many people that do it that way. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I think it's a pretty good way of doing it. Yeah, people don't normally do it, but it sounds like
it's the long way out. It's
way.
Definitely the long way. We are taking the long way home. Trust me. I just don't know anyone else who's doing it this way right now. I have to say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So 70 songs. Like how? That's a lot of writing, and then to end up whittling it down.
I mean, 70 songs, I would say, 20 of them were like chorus verses, like they weren't complete, but 50 full songs for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I was writing by myself every day. I was writing with a bunch of people of all over the country. I was just doing it all the time in any form that I could. And so I have this hard drive that has 70 songs for the Future Throwback album. And 11 of them turned out to be awesome. And Nintendo was the last song we wrote for it, which is really funny to me.
How funny is that?
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
We're like, oh, yeah, that's the one. We love that one. We're done.
That's too funny. And you probably figured that calling it Nintendo, like, you're probably like, this is going to be a joke.
Yeah, we wrote it as a joke, for sure. It was me and my friend sitting in the room going, oh, my God, this would be hilarious. You think you act like Nintendo. And then we wrote it, and we loved it.
That's friggin' awesome. That is so funny. That's the way to do it, though.
Like, I was trying for, 70 songs, had the album done, basically, and was like, oh, we wrote this joke song. And everyone's like, oh, my God, Nintendo, that's so fun. And that's that's how it came about.
See, and that's usually the way it happens, too. Like, the thing that you least expect, or don't even really put that true. Right, and that ends up being the one. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, after we wrote it, of course, we spent, months on it, like getting all the lyrics right and getting the tracks right. I think I recorded it twice, or 3 times maybe. We put the real work in after. But it was a joke. It started off, we literally wrote it in an afternoon. It was a joke,
that's so funny. I haven't
talked about that with anyone. I mean, I've said it before, but I haven't really gone into detail about it. It's just pretty funny.
So does that make you kind of think to yourself I recommend my next song about Atari and not even try?
But yeah, we got Atari in Nintendo because you take me back like Nintendo, like when we were 10, you take me back like Atari, like Sleep Over Party. So I think we got to write the next one about I don't know, GameCube or something.
Yeah, right, GameCube. How about ColecoVision? In television.
ColecoVision, nice. That's awesome.
Too funny. So, all right, it's only March, and there's a lot of time left this year, so what's the plans for the rest of the year for you?
Plan is new single, Oh My God, in the next couple months, and just skyrocket on that through the summer. We're going to put the video out, take it to radio, and then the album, Future Throwback, probably fall, I'm hoping. Fingers crossed.
Nice. Wow, so you'll have 2 singles out there way before the album even comes out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even 3. We might do another single. It would have to come faster. Nintendo took a whole year to get to the single cycle, but yeah, definitely at least 2 singles and then the album, yes.
Cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty fun.
Absolutely. All right, so where can everybody go to find Mr. Todd Carey and listen to Nintendo and everything else? Because you got a whole catalog going on.
Yeah, I would say the first place you can go is my website, toddcareymusic.com, TODDCAREY music.com. And then the rest of it, I'm like a daily presence on social media. And I'm Todd Carey, TODDCAREY, on Instagram, Twitter, all of the above. Just come find me there. I'm prolifically tweeting and posting, so we'd love to see anybody who's interested. I'll be looking for you guys.
Now here's what I got to ask. Here's what I got to ask, because you said this, and I know it takes up a lot of time of my day for everything I do. You said you have a social media team. How many people are in your team?
Well, it's mostly me, but the team is more like I'll run stuff by people, you know, like do you think this is like a cool look or like the right sentiment, you know, or I'll have people that like support me as far as like fan sites. Like there's this one site called I Heart Todd Carey, and so I consider them like on my social media team because they help disseminate the information to like the core followers. They really know who those people are, you know, because like, you know, I'm approaching like 300,000 or 400,000 Twitter followers, but there's like a core group of like hardcore people. So that's the team, kind of the inner work, you know, that kind of thing.
Nice. Okay, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Absolutely. Cool. All right, so let's see. Any tour dates coming up, or you're?
I'm playing with T-Pain on Thursday in San Francisco.
Okay, how'd that happen? Like, that's a weird mix.
Yeah. T-Pain works with that the iPhone app I was telling you about, the iPhone karaoke app, and so we're doing a festival there in San Francisco on Thursday. So we're all playing. It's going to be awesome. That's the only tour date. I'm usually out on the road, you know, hundreds of days a year, but it's all about this. We're gearing up for the next single right now. So the last tour date is T-Pain on Thursday, which is going to be awesome.
That should be a good time.
So excited.
Cool. All right. Well, Todd, thanks so much. I'm happy we got this all together finally.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited that we got a chance to talk. Sorry, I was like getting all raw at the top of the conversation. I thought it was just me and you on that.
It's all good.
Thank you so much for. Yeah, I guess it's internet radio, right? So we can say whatever we want.
You can say anything. You want to drop an F-bomb before we go?
No, I think that'd be good.
Oh, too funny.
But honestly, man, thank you so much for talking to me. You asked such great questions and you did your research. It really means a lot to me, and thank you for all the kind words.
Cool. Nah, dude, all from the heart, all truth, and you're the man.
You're the man. Let's keep in touch.
Absolutely. I'm going to shoot you a text and tell you that answer, and when you come back to Philly, we'll get together. That
would be great. I see you have the 718 number. Are you from Brooklyn?
No, actually, that's just our studio number. I live probably like 25 minutes from the Tin Angel.
Oh, cool, man. That's really cool.
I'm like on the PA Delaware border.
I love it. Let's keep in touch, my man.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Todd. Take care.
All right,
I'll be talking to you soon. Hey, you know what? Before you go, let me get you to cut a quick ID. This is Todd Carey, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio. And if you want to throw anything else in there, do it up.
Sure. Hey, this is Todd Carey, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Live? Did we just broadcast live, or are you going to rebroadcast it?
I'm going to redo that. We just taped this. Yep.
Oh, awesome. So let me know when it's up, and I'll share it with everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Yes, you can edit I think I dropped some stuff at the top. Like it.
I can leave them in if you want. It's up to you. You want me to take them out? I'll take them out.
Well, if I was being raw, I thought it was just me and you. I think I dropped. Did I drop an F-bomb in there somewhere? I can't remember what it was. It was something.
You know what?
A couple things.
I drop them so much I get used to it.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, whatever you think is appropriate.
Oh, let it fly.
All right.
Thanks, man, and I'll talk to you soon.
You're the man. I'll catch you soon. Hey, thanks so much. You're fantastic.
Thanks, Todd. You too.
Later, buddy. Thanks for making my night.
See ya. You're welcome. Bye. All right, everybody, there he goes, the one, the only Mr. Todd Carey. Check him out all over the place, Todd Carey Music. There's his website. You can find him everywhere. And we're going to play his single now, the one and only Nintendo. That's seen by, 6 million people, he said? Here it is, Nintendo, Todd Carey.